How is that? Okay, here I am. I'm live. Sorry about this. We're kind of all over the board here. Here I am. Okay. Okay, so anyhow, yes, this is the process of being a beginner, and I talked about that in our group this week, because this is all new for me, the technical part of it. And so I think it's good because we can identify that this stirring up creativity, this stepping out into something new, is new for you as well. And it's one of those things that we have to do a lot of new things, and it's not comfortable. But hey, I'm delighted you're here with me this evening. It's a good day, and my name is Sarah Oliver. I'm an artist and creative coach, and you're here with me because you signed up for the Creativity ReConExMe webinar. And what I will say is that on the live stream here, you'll see that there's a chat box, so feel free to post your questions, anything that you might want to talk about, and I will get with you throughout the webinar, and definitely by the end of our time together, I will address your questions and be happy to answer those for you. So anyway, what I would ask is one more pause. I want to flip back over to the other live stream that I've got going. I want to close that down. I'm going to try and merge us together, so I'll be right back. It looks like I'm still sharing, so hang tight. Okay. All right. So that's the way of it. I'm not quite sure. We're live. Okay, I realized that, but we've got two different lives going. Okay. All right. So let's see how this goes. All right. Okay, so I'm going to see, where am I here in YouTube? All right. Very good. Okay, so anyhow, let's get rolling. I just switching software. That's all right in the middle of this. And that's part of being creative, is we just have to be prepared to as things unfold and roll out, to go with them. And so anyhow, what I get to do, what I do, is I get to work with women, and women have always been on my heart, and I've always worked for women and with women. I had a practice for over 20 years, 23 years or so, working from the outside in, and now I work from the inside out. As a creative coach, have been able to work with women to establish a safe and gentle environments, a loving atmosphere, so that they can feel comfortable to relax, and let me share with them my process, equipping them with creative tools that they need to unlock what's going on inside of them, undiscovered facets of themselves and accomplishments that they have inside of themselves. And that's really my heart. And all of this happens as we integrate art principles along with traditional practices for your body, mind, and spirit. And this is when we experience that up-leveling, and our creativity wells up and begins to emerge, and we begin to identify our flow, and it's exciting. So that's where the mystery takes place, and most women begin to identify opportunities for their emotional and spiritual transformation. It's sometimes it takes working with another to help mirror that. And that's why I value groups so much, because let me tell you, in groups, we can go a lot farther. And there's an African proverb that says something like, If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go farther, it's better to go with others. And I love working with groups because, and I do, and that's what I'm doing, is building a group mentorship, because one-on-one is very good. And I have availability for that. But the groups, we get to witness different facets, more than if just one other person. And so when it's, think of it like a gemstone, how many different facets that has, and different perspectives and views. And so it becomes a really a beautiful way to accelerate our growth, because we're not just limited on what we're being exposed to. So anyhow, that's a big part of my discussion today. And creativity reconnects me. That's what I found. It's a simple path to, and I'm going to just turn off my mail real quick. It's a simple path to birthing your creativity. And so the course is really for motivated women. If you don't want to put any work into it, then nothing's really going to happen. So you have to be motivated. And typically women who are searching for some sort of purpose, or there's got to be probably a shift, a lifetime shift, like a milestone, for instance. Could be a loss. It could be just some new awarenesses, new dreams that are coming to you, and you don't know what to do with them. I know that for me, I started really asking around, because I started thinking differently. Like, I had different thoughts coming to me, and I was curious, because it wasn't thoughts as a result of me like seeking out and reading a book on something I didn't know about, or perhaps something had piqued my interest and I started studying it. These were coming to me like in my spirit, and they were in my mind. And so I started, asking around and saying, hey, and I'll tell you, one of the first stories that I, as my memory tells me, that's what I kind of remember as a beginning. And I was talking about this today, that, oftentimes when we have these shifts and we have these changes in our life, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't come up with this. How is this happening? Yes, I'm participating in it, but sometimes we try and figure out where it began. And I feel like as a creative, I'll just speak for myself. I feel like I need to do that because I love mapping things. I like to see the adventure. I like looking in hindsight and saying, wow, look at where I've come from, because that's really a good reality and perspective to have, is look at where I've come from, not like, oh my gosh, I got to get somewhere else. So the hindsight tells us a whole lot. I very rarely have now sight. I think I know what's going on, but it's not necessarily true. So as we're doing this searching, with creativity as our guide, we tap into supernatural levels of abundance and prosperity. And that looks like a lot of different things. And I say it's supernatural because it's above and beyond what I could come up with. And I've experienced it over and over again. And the beauty is that becomes a lifestyle for us as creatives. So don't be afraid of supernatural. It just simply means above and beyond our own power. It just comes. And in truth, we learn to we learn to go with that, because it helps us to love and serve well. When I let that power come and I flow in it, I have a more open heart and open mind. And so creativity reconnects me. It's something that's come about that I've just really put together as a result of my experience. I'm like, I just felt led to really release and work with women and others, with artists and professionals, and just women in different facets of our community, to really help them make these shifts. Creativity is just a gentle, non-invasive. I say it's non-invasive, but it's pretty radical. At least it has been for me, because I'll tell you, I wake up and think, wait a minute, wait. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I have an art coach, and I don't know, I haven't said it for a long, I would say for this year. But before that, it's like merely I'd go along and then I'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I don't need to be doing this. And I would be like, why am I doing this? Why do I feel so compelled to do something different? And sure enough, I would just continue and I would work right through that. And that's the very another yes that takes us farther. So, we do move on. We're going up a mountain. Just visualize that this process takes you on a journey, and it's not going to be familiar, and we're not going to be used to the grid, so we're going to be a little clumsy about it. It's beautiful, but it's really messy, and you meet a lot of neat people and do a lot of wonderful things along the way. So anyway, this online class is self-paced. It's a 4-cycle course. It's all levels. And I give a lot of options, and it's exciting because in our group, I have a Facebook group, a women's art group. You can jump on Facebook, join up. It's a free group. And really, we've got writers, we've got dancers, singers, songwriters, there's professional artists, there's doodlers, there's art journalists, there's women who are curious about art and who say, I'm crocheting or I'm knitting or I do beadwork, but I want to be a part of this. And so it's all flows of creativity. For me, my creative, works come from inside, but color, sound, movement, words, they are all a part of the process. So it doesn't matter what expression of creativity that you're using. So you go with that because that's where you are. And then if you're inspired to do other things by hanging out with a group who are varied in their just all kinds of mixed media, just all kinds of things, it gets very exciting. And so that's how you know what's right for you, is when you start getting that quickening. You'll know to give it a try, and this is a neat group because it's a safe place to try new things. So anyway, I want to just take a minute, and I've switched software. I'm not sure how many, who all is on at this time or not. I'm going to look for questions. So if you see me popping around, I've got my phone, I've got my iPad, I've got this, I've got lots of things to check on and keep tabs on. But the one thing that I do want to do is just kind of get centered right now and say to you that, there's something inside. There's something inside of you that's moving. It's got your attention, and it could be a restless feeling. It could be a feeling of being stuck. It could be like depression. It could be, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not a therapist or anything like that. So this is not about replacing anything or me prescribing or diagnosing, not at all. But I do know that through my process, I became depressed, and I had never been depressed before. And I said to a good friend, I think I'm depressed. And so I began praying about it, and I felt like, for me, and this is not for everyone, I'm just telling my story. For me, what came to me in prayer is that God said, I have you in a hiding place. And it's like, it was a protective place. I didn't feel suicidal. I didn't feel any extremes, not at all. But God I really felt like it was a confirmation. I felt like I was in a hiding place. And so the deal is that I had some stuff I still had to work through. For me, I was struggling. I was fractured. I was having a hard time believing that I was supposed to let go of a practice that I had had for 23 years and just start something brand new. I was like, how could this be? I never dreamed of doing anything else. I loved what I was doing. And so it was very difficult. So sometimes when God will close a door, and I know for me, I kept trying to open that door up. I did. I tried everything I could. And finally, um, received a word online on Facebook, and the word was one evening a woman popped in. I was actually on the couch, and I was just really like at a low point, and I was just like, God, show me where I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong and I can let you help me to be right, then I'm going to be okay. And I don't know why I flipped on Facebook, and I was just flipping, and this woman pops up and she said, God has a word for someone. And the word is that he wants you to stop trying to open the door that he's closed. And I knew that was for me. And I felt instantly better. So when something resonates with us, we know it. My whole continent's I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to, out of this twisted sense of gratitude for all I've had so much favor with this business that I had taken it on like I had to keep going. And it was like, no. And then I could start seeing that all these doors were closing. And it was really what it was pointing me in a different direction. I mean, left to our own devices, we don't start changing directions on our own. We just don't. We're going to do what's comfortable, what we know, what's safe. Especially, what is this? When we get older, we tend to do that more. I don't know what's going on with that. But I'll tell you, now that I'm in the second half of my life, and I realize that, I'm thinking, if I don't try this now, when I'm going to try it. And I know that if I try this and it's not the right thing, I can always make a new decision. So for me, I was just like, if not now, when? And I just said, now's the time. Now's the time. So I really did. I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to try opening the door anymore, but you're going to have to land this plane, God, because I certainly don't know how to land it. I have no idea what to do. And I said, so I'm going to go to work cheerfully, and I'm just going to let it happen. And I'll tell you, I did not plan on talking about this, but I'm glad this is coming up. I'm at work in the studio. I'm working with a client, just finishing up, and I had another client in the waiting area. A man walked in the studio, and he wanted to talk to me. So as I finished up with this woman, I asked him back, and he looked at me and he said, would you ever consider giving up this studio? Now, I kid you not, I was like, inside, this part of me was dancing. It was saying, oh my gosh, you're landing the plane. Now on the outside, in the natural, I'm like, I knew in my head, my heart was dancing. My head was saying, this is not your space to give away. So I said to the gentleman, I said, you'll have to leave your name and number. And I said, I can call you, when I'm not with clients. And so anyhow, long story short, that was the beginning of my transition, another part of that transition, one that I was really aware of, and it felt so much better. So I really believe that, again, when we let go and we just go where we're called, our life gets better. And it really has. And I'll tell you, this has been an amazing time. I would have never been able to finish this course if I would have hung on to what I was hanging on to. And it was a good thing. It really was. And some of the ladies that I served are listening to this webinar, and they haven't heard this side of the story. It's really emotional. It's very moving because it's like, is this my life? Oh my goodness. So I designed this course, and it's based on my experience. It's a series of what I call creative encounters. So I looked back in this last journey, and I looked back at those encounters that I had, those awakenings, those surrenders. And I said, how can I make this into a creative exercise or prompt to be able to stir some of this stuff up for others? And that's how this course came about. So it's my hope that I'm able to help women like yourself who identify and remove those typical obstacles that are confusion and overwhelm and just resistance. Oh my goodness. So I do this by showing what I've come to know, okay? What I've come to focus on, and it's given me clarity and confidence. I have a confidence in me today that I didn't have before. And I had a wonderful practice, and it was successful, but the confidence I have now is greater than that confidence. So it doesn't, I couldn't do this myself. And having said that, you can too. It takes being willing to, um, um, it takes a willingness to take the emotional risk, okay? The emotional risk to release those subconscious beliefs that are holding us back. So anyhow, I just want to check I am still online. Okay, good. So I'm going to share with you methods and processes so that you can connect to your inner self. And it is about the inner self. If you're ready to set aside everything you think you know about yourself, and have a whole new experience, this is a good course for you, okay? Because we're gonna gain wisdom from nature. We're gonna shed old ideas and limiting beliefs, and we're gonna begin to thrive as you birth your creativity. I don't know where you are in your birthing process. A lot of us have been creative before, and goodness knows, as kids, we certainly were. But you'll want to stick around till the end, and I'm going to give you all the details you need to get started. So you're going to be able to reinvent yourself, become a vibrant woman, and again, if not now, when? All right. So the next thing I want to share with you, or as I move on, is that creativity is an emotional outlet that you never knew you had, and so please stay tuned. I want you to find out how I do this. And we're going to let creativity into every area of our life. So be encouraged. I'm going to offer you some tools and guidance and help you so you begin to birth your creativity. Again, I designed it in my own, based on my own experience. I use traditional art principles as well as healing and spiritual practices. You probably have tried many of them, maybe not all, but I brought them together in a way. It's kind of like I weaved them together so it works. It's a workable process. And I also give you the options so that, again, it's not a cookie cutter protocol, but I'm giving you some tools with options, and you're going to find what works for you. Okay. So what do you think about that? Huh? I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a drink of water here and take a look at the screen and some questions and see what's going on. All right. Very good. And if you're listening, I would love it if you would leave a comment in the little chat box. You just have to, I believe, sign in. It's really easy to sign in. I think I signed in, and it's probably because I have the account, but that would be great if you could. I see someone hovering. I just know that because a little number came up. I can't see you. Okay. So anyhow, that's pretty quiet. So I'm going to go ahead and continue sharing. So anyhow, let's move on. And what I would ask you is let's just consider this. Dare with me a little bit. Imagine that the inner turmoil, when we experience self-doubt or frustration, anything that's consuming, what if we were to look at that as really potentiality? Okay. Oftentimes, I think I know what's going on inside of me. And I tended to do whatever I think is going to fix it or satisfy or be the solution or is the next right thing, whatever. And what I've come to be aware of is that if I choose to, I've got a choice on how I want to experience a sensation. And I'll tell you, I became really aware of this in the last year. I've started practicing yoga. And I practiced a little bit in prior years, but really on a regular basis. And I started becoming aware of the thoughts my body had about sensations. And the yoga that I love the most. It's really hot yoga. It's deep. We hold poses for a long time. And so not that we want to put ourselves excruciating, but we, just breathing through the sensations has been a big lesson for me. It's just like a physical evidence of this spiritual thing that's happening. So it really is. What if the truth is really that we were pregnant with possibility? And I want to say this because the one of my other awakening stories, these other stories that I've told to women, like one-on-one, or maybe to a small group, but this is pretty public. But one of my stories was as this shift now, and all this is in hindsight, because I think I know when it started, but it started every time I think I know, I think of something that happened before that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but maybe it was then. But years ago, and this started maybe 5-6 years ago, I started seeing 822. I'd look at the clock, it was 822. I'd look at a page, I'd see 8s, 22s, 822, 822. And still it happens. I'll go over, I'll look at the clock, and it's almost like it's like a hug from God or something. But I was so curious that I'm thinking, well, 822, what could this possibly mean? So I even mentioned it to a few friends, and but I was thinking, wow, I don't know if this was lazy or intuitive, but I thought the Bible has a lot of 822s in it. So I thought, just, resources, time and energy, let me start there. So I did. And and yet it seemed like out of nowhere, I would think of things, and I'm thinking, well, it's my birth date, 822. It's my birth. Okay, that's cool. But it kept happening. And so because it piqued my curiosity, and I started looking into scripture, I thought, that's a lot of references. That'll keep me busy for a while. But I didn't know I was tired of searching. I didn't even know if that I'd stopped seeking that. But one morning I heard it being preached, and I looked up, and there on the big screen was Romans 8:22. And I especially have come to love the Message translation of this. And so I'm just going to read this, because this is really what this whole birthing creativity, where it came from. Because this is what God gave me. God put this on my heart. It's like an assignment. Birth creativity, activate and release creativity in the body. So Romans 8:22 through 25. Listen to this. And this is why I was just like, it was just a confirmation. So here it is. All around us, we observe a pregnant creation. The difficult times of pain throughout the world are simply birth pangs. But it's not only around us, it's within us. The Spirit of God is arousing within us. We're also feeling the birth pangs. These sterile and barren bodies of ours are yearning for full deliverance. And that's why waiting does not diminish us any more than waiting diminishes a pregnant mother. We are enlarged in the waiting. We, of course, don't see what is enlarging us. But the longer we wait, the larger we become, and the more joyful the expectancy. Now I ask God, wow. I mean, first of all, that was like that was me. That was my insides. I was in pain. I was in that difficult emotional pain, and spiritual, because I was like, I had such a conflict there. And just that need to move out of that place. And I couldn't do anything about it, because I tried everything I knew to feel better and to put myself in a better, more cheerful, grateful position. But the more grateful I thought I was becoming, it wasn't supposed to be. God had closed a door. He was drying the joy up. And anything I like, in my own power, it's just not going to have the same life on it. That's for sure. So I asked God, what do you want me to do with this awareness? And And that's when I said, I felt like the activate and release creativity into the body was really my assignment. So this process is inside of me, and I long to release it and help women create a more meaningful and satisfying life. So it seems like there's nothing worse, really, when I look back, than being on that endless merry-go-round in constant state of trying to figure it all out. And the pains of reliving the circumstance over and over and over in my mind, that was a birth pain. That was part of that labor process. And it all of it moves us forward. So there's no shame or condemnation in our striving to try and get it right. The fact is that once we have the awareness that that's what we're doing, we have a choice now. So there's, it's not about what we were doing before. It's about now that we've had the awareness, what do we want to do about it? So during this webinar, I want to go ahead and cover the 4 things you need to know about my course. Okay. And I'm going to cover that one at a time, one cycle at a time. Okay. Each cycle is step by step, and you will connect with and follow your intuition and achieve what your heart and soul really is looking for. Okay. It's going to get relief. You're going to get relief, heart and soul, and you're going to have a clear vision and a sense of purpose. The second thing that you need to know is that you're going to use your imagination. And I'm going to stir that up, wake up parts of you that have been asleep. All right. So there's nothing more paralyzing than feeling as if, you have to do everything that needs to be perfect. This is, like I said earlier, this is a beautiful, messy, uncomfortable, unpredictable, amazing, blessed experience. It really is. So getting over this demand for perfection and comfort and all that is part of the process. And it's been a big challenge for me. And this, for those of us who are perfectionists. So trying something we know little to know nothing about can be a real ego challenge. And that's a real ego buster for me. So the third thing is this: I'm going to talk about and show you about creative self-exploration, and in getting and letting curiosity help us to express ourselves freely. I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted to get free. I didn't want to feel like I was feeling. I didn't want to become judgmental of myself and others, but I was trapped. I was in pain. So everything was rubbing me the wrong way. And things that normally wouldn't bother me were bothering me. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So taking that small step toward my creativity, those artistic goals, were very important. And if you're not visualizing or seeing yourself as an artist, just think about, art journaling. Okay. So rather than painting, perhaps you're going to art journal. And that might feel more like the baby step than a giant leap for you. Others will be ready for the big giant leap. Surprisingly, though, some of the small pieces that you come up with might be some really favorite things. I know for me, I was really surprised that when I began painting, I had to paint on large canvases. And I was just like, wow, why do they have to be so big? But I'll tell you, I would go into like one of the stores to buy canvases. And what happened, I would go up and I would pick up a small canvas, and it just was like my body felt like it was being suffocated. It just felt like it was claustrophobic. And then I'd go over to a larger canvas and I would start to feel more open and better. By the time I got over, my heart opened up, and it was just like, it's like I needed to be open and stretching. So that's what I did. I went with a canvas that felt best for me. And so maybe that's what you can do. Maybe you've been trying to art journal and your journal is not the right size. Maybe you've been painting, but maybe your painting is supposed to be different. Maybe you've been painting something too big and you're supposed to be on a table easel. This is just food for thought. I want you to think about it, because it matters. It really does. I believe that after 23 plus years of working in a space the size of a silver dollar, I was just supposed to get out of the box. It really was prophetic. It was just like a metaphor for what God was doing. You know, he was taking and he was breaking me out of that comfortable little box I was in. I knew what to do. I did it well. I had favor. I had wonderful clients. And he was saying, wow, you become pretty self-sufficient, Sarah. So I'm going to break you out of the box. This is going to stop working for you. And I'm going to take you, I'm going to stretch you into something and make you open your heart up. And to do that, I had to start working in alignment here. So that's the last thing, the number one tool you're going to need for ongoing guidance, nurturing, and wisdom. And that is just creativity. Creativity is the number one tool. Color is really the undercurrent there, if you will. And really, it's creativity connects me to my creator. Creativity is of creation. It is creator. And so that's the tool that I'm going to help you get started with. And this is your simple path to birthing your creative spirit, you know? So it starts with a guided retreat, and that's where we're going to help devise. I'm going to help you devise and form your birthing plan. All right. So creativity is not about having all the right tools and supplies and going through all the motions. Perhaps you've even done that. Maybe you have some experience with that. Maybe you're an artist who has a block. Maybe you haven't been able to practice or express yourself in a while. Maybe your expression started changing and you didn't understand it, so you stopped. I will tell you, since I've been painting this last 5 years or so, that's all I've been painting. I have gone through a couple of different shifts. And let me tell you, not this last one, because I don't know if I've come through it all the way or not. But over the summer, I was up in North Carolina on vacation and had this beautiful Airbnb, and it was beautiful. I got to connect with my art coach. It was awesome. And when I began painting, a whole new genre came up, right? And I remember my husband saying to me one evening, he says, are you going to be in this? Is this how you're going to paint now? I think it was an underpainting. It was really the beginning of some inner work that I was doing. And it's part of the process, and that's not how he flows. So for him, he'd never really seen the rawness that happens at the very beginning of some of the work that I do. And so anyway, I said, well, I don't know, I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to go with this and we'll see what happens. So sometimes we need to have some time to unlearn. And like I said, let some things fall off, get right-sized as we are now. And part of that being right-sized is being more childlike. And coming to the canvas or to the page or to whatever expression you have, going on to a dance floor or at the piano, or opening, just beginning a new sound, letting a new sound arise. There's a new sound in you. Sometimes it's hard to really let it go if it's new and it's different. We don't want to be stuck like that. And so getting some time away from our regular routine requires us to be more childlike. And that's if we want to conceive, if we want to form and devise a birthing plan and get some new ideas. So maybe you've already found your way and how to get started. And if you're just tuning in, welcome. Okay. I know some of you are tuning in late, and I'm just delighted you're here this evening. I'm introducing my Creativity ReConEx course. I'm going to take a sip of water and I'm going to share some more. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, I please ask you to write them in the comment box. And I will answer those as the evening goes along. So anyhow, this Creativity ReConExMe is a 4-cycle. It's self-paced. It's online-based. We're going to use a teaching format plus a private Facebook group. And tonight, during this webinar, if you purchase the course is normally $177. You can get it for $77, and that's good until November 6th, that price. During the webinar, If you purchase it while I'm holding the webinar, you will also get a free 40-minute creative coaching session, as well as a body mapping, a creative body mapping webinar. So there's some freebies and bonuses with that. I'm also offering the course with a month of creative coaching for a special price, and you can get all those details. There's if I scroll down here, you know what? There isn't a button. I need to go on and get that button for you. So I'm going to just take a little break here, see if you have any questions. I'm going to go in and activate that, and we will be all set. So let me take a look here and see if that's going. Oh, there it is. Okay. That way, as I'm talking, and you will be able to see what I'm talking about. Now I'm trying to update that, and we'll see what happens now. Okay, I may have to do this real quick online. So pardon me while I do this really quick, and I will keep you on while I'm doing this. I'm just enabling the button so that if you want to purchase while the webinar is on, you will have that option and be able to get the little goodies and bonuses. You know, it wasn't long ago, like I was just sharing, that you know, I look back and think, wow, how different life is now. Enable, boom, boom, boom. And that should be good. So if you want to refresh your browser, you'll probably see that that Buy Now button is on. I apologize for that. Let me just double check here to make sure before I carry on. Okay, yep. Very good, yeah. And when you push the Buy Now button, it takes you to a sales page. It gives you a lot more information, and if you scroll all the way down, you'll see the offers. So that's how that's working. And again, thank you so much for your patience, and we'll move on. So let's just hop on. Let me tell you about the 4 different cycles. They are designed to begin with the retreat. There's 4 cycles. The first cycle is called retreat. So it's like an online retreat, and it's experienced, like I said, a cycle at a time. Each cycle leads to the next. And at this time, I'm only introducing the first cycle. So the others will follow. But it's a great place to start. And I want to walk you through the actions that you need to implement. And this will start, like I said, stirring up the creativity, helping to devise and form your birthing plan. And you'll find a way to activate that creativity within, and you begin to see and sense and hear. Our senses, we're not used to paying attention to some of the things, or we need to be open to a new experience with ourselves. And so for our purpose, retreat is defined as a period where a group withdrawals for prayer, meditation, study, and instruction under a director. And so that's me, and I can direct you through this. And I will tell you that inside all of us, there's something that's pulling us forward. And when we don't listen to it, that's when we get the stress, the anxiety. We start feeling unhappy and dissatisfied. So in this first cycle, you're going to learn how to listen and follow your calling, and that comes from your true self. And that's how you'll be able to create a more abundant and happy, a prosperous life. So you'll find a plethora of resources and tools included in the course. And of course, we have the community within our private Facebook group for more inspiration. The retreat is purposed, again, improving your conscious contact. It's a body, mind, and spirit. So whatever understanding you have of God or your creator or that creative universe that we are just so connected and we resonate with, and returning back to that childlikeness, improving the quality of our self-honesty. So being willing to have a new experience with ourselves means we may see some things differently than we did the last time we considered them. And it's important for us to do this because that's how we're going to gain perspective and balance. We're going to use these resources and discover ways to live and move more freely with our creativity. So just like Kandinsky says, the artist must train not only the eye, but his soul, okay? Also his soul. And so cycle 1 cycles into the next one, which is called connect. And connect represents our desire or intention to establish a relationship with our inner self. And as we journey through the cycles, you're going to learn that you have your own experience with art principles and design. But we're going to play with color in ways that are going to help you connect with your insides so that you can let go of those things that are holding you back. Those things that are keeping you stuck, or old ideas, or maybe they're opinions about yourself or others that just don't serve you anymore. So we're going to experience color as a language. And this color it just crosses all barriers. It's beautiful because I liken color to love. Love conquers everything. Color, there's a color for everything. Color is everything. We see, we sense, we feel color, and it makes sense for us to learn about it as a language so that we can learn to speak and express what's going on inside of us and release it. So in this cycle, I'm going to use prompts and meditations as we work with color as it relates to shapes and lines. We're going to play a lot with textures and more. It's going to give your soul like space so that your style begins to emerge, and that's where you're going to start. I tell you, you're going to start dressing with different colors. You're going to start maybe eating differently. Because you're going to start paying attention to how you respond to color and realize that, our bodies really are beautiful and they let us know what we want and need. And we can do it responsibly. Obviously, like I said earlier, we have to live with our feet on the ground and our eyes moving forward and up and being open to more and to that expansion. The sky and the atmosphere is never ending. It's always expanding. I get so excited when new stars and galaxies are discovered, because it tells me that even heavens, even the atmosphere keeps growing and changing. And that's just beautiful. And its testimony gives me permission to be different and to flow with things and to let go. So we're going to flow. We're going to let it flow without the need to control the outcome, because we can't anyway. It's just, I can't control it. And I have to get it through my head sometimes. Oh, that's right. You're not in control. But I think I am, but you're not. You really don't have it all. So cycle 3 is about exploring. And so by now, you're more sensitive. You're starting to intuitively express yourself in your painting, in your journals, in your prayer. Maybe some worship is shifting and changing for you. And in this cycle, so we're going to dare for more. We're going to dive in deeper, and we're going to use our imagination and curiosity so that we get familiar with ourselves. And we do this by testing and experimenting. So I use color palettes and different brushes and tools to play around, and we begin to connect with ourselves. In this cycle 3, I use the first 7 days of creation as the foundation. And no matter what your faith or your belief is, this cycle is going to be a meaningful spiritual experience for you, because we are going to spend several days just pondering each day, each single day, with the emphasis on process and layers. When you think about it, each day in the mystery, something new was added. All right. So there's significance in layering and process. And sometimes we discover something significant, and other times it will find or discover us. And it's so fun. It really is. So I'm going to share, tricks and techniques to help you ease your resistance, and let go of distractions and overthinking. And this enables us to have a deeper surrender. We want to be loose, not so rigid, and most importantly, just continue. So that's the essence of the layering process. And so think of it as like an extended guided meditation. And we use nature because it's a gift to us. It's a model to help us grow and understand. And the more we do, the more we surrender and trust, the more is revealed to us. So again, those layers come off, but also new awareness and revelation is added too. And it gives us a real personal and meaningful way to experience life. So, if you're ready and your current circumstances are good, let's say they're good. Don't let good be the thing, because good might just mean you're comfortable. And I don't know, maybe comfortable isn't the new adventure. So anyway, so let me just tell you about the last phase, and then we can kind of wrap up. We're coming to the close. Cycle 4 is called Metamorphose. And this is an opportunity for us to depict ourselves as like a main subject, like a hero in your own story. It's a chance, I know, I release myself, or a version of myself onto the canvas that nobody else sees. And again, we could do this in art journaling with collage and different things. So I give you lots of options, but it's self-portraiture, and it's a tool for self-exploration. So I use it to peer into my soul and begin to unravel some of the inner stuff there. Sometimes life feels like a big wad. And so we can unravel things. And for many years, I lived outside of myself. And it never occurred to me to look within. And once I began looking within, it became exciting to express and explore myself, and it became really the foundation for the work that I do. So anyhow, it's just a very beautiful, powerful experience. And I guide you in, and I lead you through step by step, and you're going to birth your creativity. It's going to release into some kind of a physical form, your art form. And then in that process, somewhere along the way, you're going to let go of what doesn't serve you. And you're going to put your faith in creativity. You're going to have a more open heart and mind. And I think your life, you're going to find it more meaningful and satisfying. You could stay right where you are doing what you're doing, and it could just mean more and be more satisfying because of a perspective change, because you're experiencing yourself differently. So often we're trying to change the outsides, but we could stay where we are and learn to live right where we are. If something's going to change other than what we think, it will. But we don't have control over that. I certainly didn't study to change professions. That's for sure. It changed because it was just happening. It was in the order of things. So anyway, it just begins with you taking that first step with cycle 1, the retreat. And so how do you get started? What you can use the button below this video and you can access the sales page, and that's where you'll find special pricing, fast access to my process with bonuses and more. And those are lifetime. Once you purchase it, you can log on anytime. You can repeat it yourself. And again, you'll have the support and community of the Facebook group so that you'll get to experience it with others. And you can be as active in the group as you want. You can use the group for reference. You can participate in the group. Use the group as that safe place to step out. Maybe you've been writing a song and you haven't released it. That's a safe place for you to release it. Maybe you have a poem or story, maybe painting. Maybe you'd like to share something that you've been journaling, or maybe you've already been journaling and writing about this experience. That can happen. And that just means that you're ready. And this might be just the invitation you need to step into that. So let me know how I can help you out. First of all, go and take a look at the offer, okay, the course. The course is tonight. You can get it for $77. It's awesome. We are going to, just to give you a little peek window, you'll purchase it tonight, you'll get a confirmation, and then shortly in the next couple of days, you'll be getting an email with all the details. And the details are going to include things like when the class date starts, and what the supplies are needed, and such and such. On the sales page, you'll see the supplies. Very simple. Cycle 1, you need either canvas, you need a journal, and pencils, pens. It's really centered in a journal, this first retreat. There are options for painting. So there are all levels, but a retreat is just that. When we retreat, we're taking some time aside. We're going to stir some things up, and we're going to create and devise a plan. So just know it's really easy breezy. But I'll tell you, we're going to kick it off with a creative encounter weekend, and that's going to happen. Let's see, that's Saturday the 7th, I believe. Is that no, the 7th is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's the 10th, I believe. I had this date written down, and let's see. Well, it's that Saturday. Okay, it's the 9th and 10th. Okay, so the 9th and 10th, it's a weekend, and it's fun because I'm going to do 2 live programs in the Facebook group on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. And that's going to kind of get us connected and put us together. It's going to give you a nice start, and then the class will begin on Monday. And so it'll begin Monday the 11th, and it'll go through the 18th, and that's for a 7-day period. And then we will have a post-retreat period where we're going to hold space and process what we've learned. Again, I'm going to take you step by step through this. Don't worry about the details. Now, if you purchase the class tonight while the webinar is running, you'll qualify for things like a 40-minute free coaching session with me, and also a webinar, a creative body mapping webinar, which is really fun. We're going to be utilizing body mapping through the retreat time. But the webinar is really cool because it goes into a little bit more detail, and it shows you the variety of ways that you can use body mapping. But we'll get into that. Listen, I couldn't make it any easier. So cycle 1, it begins with a creative encounter weekend, November 9th and 10th. It'll be a fun time. We'll stir up the imagination. We can get connected and know each other. And then I'll conduct those 2 live sessions each day. We're going to have creative projects and prompts. So, and I'll take you from start to finish. You'll get all the details along with the supply list in the Facebook group. And the nice thing is if the session times don't correspond with your schedule, you'll be able to watch the replays. So, it works out great. It really does. This is going to be a, a course that's paced just right because it's self-paced. So for your spiritual experience, as well as improving your artistic skills, just remember all levels, lots of options. You're going to use an art journal and perhaps a canvas, either tabletop or an easel. We're going to start cycle by cycle. So this is only cycle 1. We're going to walk you through. You're going to need to implement these steps to become more of a conscious creator, and you're going to learn how to birth your creativity. So anyhow, what do you think about all of that? Any comments? What are you thinking? It's exciting. It really is. Yeah. So once you log into your course page, you're going to see your resources. You're going to see that each day we're going to be using journaling pages, and I've designed them for you. There's a nice flow and inspiration and an intention. You just have to download and print. You're going to use your coloring pencils and pens, and it takes about an hour a day. So you can divvy that up morning and night, or you can do it all at once, or you could do a couple of days at once. And that's the beauty of this, because it's self-paced, it's online. You can fit it into your life. The Facebook group is just a wonderful source of community, and you've got the additional inspirations and resources, and it's just good. I mean, if you want feedback from the group, you can get it. That's where I give feedback. And what I found as being a participant in other groups and classes is that usually if I ask a question or bring something up, I'm not the only one who has that. And so it's just a great way to really get vulnerable. And again, whatever that means to you, there's no pressure for that. I don't need you to comment in the group to know that it's working. I invite you to do that. And if you feel led to do that, that's great. But there's no pressure for that as well. And again, if you've just tuned in and you've missed it, we'll have a retreat with a kickoff the weekend of November 9th and 10th. It's a fun time. I'll stir up your imagination. We're going to have some live prompts and projects. They're going to be simple. And there's some early bird bonuses if you'd like to check out the details in the course and see what all's included, and see a little bit about the other courses as well. I've got a video on there you can watch, and just lots of good information. So see if it's right for you. See if you're ready for it, if it's time. I'll do what I can. You just show up willing and curious, ready to explore yourself. I will say, if something is resonating with you, don't miss this. Join in so that you can begin experiencing yourself and living more creatively today. Once you begin doing this, life is never the same. You'll never want to not be creatively living. And it's a beautiful thing. So I want to thank you for spending time with me this evening. I want to thank you for your patience, especially if you were watching the replay. We had a little, start that wasn't planned that way. In fact, I had a whole different plan for tonight, but this is the way it ended up, and it was beautiful. So anyway, just in closing, I've got a couple of paintings in process you can see here, but the gal with the crown on, I'm painting both of these while I'm processing the class again myself. But this gal with the crown, her earrings are scales, and it's, not being black or white, or thinking, having a more open, flexible thinking. And you can see that she is still very sure of herself and who she is, but also her hair is painted like the mind. So it's the open mind. Things aren't black or white, living in the middle, and having wide eyes, really paying attention. But being in this place is really beautiful. In this creative mystery is really special. And the other painting has been really ministering to me, especially as I learned some new things to be able to, give my first webinar. But just having this other gal, looking and peering up into the wonder and the possibility that is, and that she's soaking in this peaceful body of water. And so as I'm working, I've really just let that minister to me and me to emulate that there is just so much potential and possibility. I want to thank you for listening, for in and tuning in and hearing about my experience, about my journey. I encourage you that if any of this is resonating with you, just receive it. My hope is that I've I've stirred up your curiosity and your wonder, your just the idea of using your imagination more and becoming more and more childlike. I hope I've stirred that up, because if I have, then it's going to happen. Whatever it is, you're on your way. And if I can help, I'd love to do that. I guess before I close out, if you're not sure about all this, but you're curious, please go over to my Facebook group, Sarah Oliver. Art is my business page, and then you'll see where you can join the group. It'll take you over to the group there. So go to Sarah Oliver Art on Facebook, like that page, push the join group, and it'll take you over and you can take a look, and we'd love to have you there. So anyhow, I'm going to go for now. Have a great evening, and I hope to hear from you and look forward to seeing you soon. Okay. There we go. End stream. All righty. Bye-bye.